Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu Gwyn, and the Insider crew.
And we're back. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We are here at PCA's national headquarters. At the table, of course, we have Manny Albin, Damon Lowney. And back to the table, we have owner of Ceramic Pro Whitemarsh, an elite dealer. We have Kurt Felmar joining us to set, let's say, maybe...
Tell me how badly I detailed my car?
No, let's just...
We'll see how it goes.
Let's see how it goes. Before we get into the details of the cleaning tips and what you did right or what you did wrong, Damon, we're here all to learn, not really to just make fun of you. But
no, I'm
representing
all the thumbs down.
Manny's been holding all of this in for... It's been a month, and it's been very tough for him to hold it all in. But... Kurt's going to level set everything and share with us, you know, the good things that we can learn from that video. But before we get into that, let's thank Pirelli, our sponsor. Thank you all for listening. Without Pirelli sponsorship, we wouldn't be able to do this. So if you're enjoying it every week or every so often, if you ever see a Pirelli or maybe even need a new set of tires, consider Pirelli for your Porsche. If you have a Porsche and you're not a PCA member, what in the world? Head over to PCA.org and get yourself a PCA membership. Just grab that VIN. That's all you need. And for those that don't currently own a Porsche, check out our test drive program. This is where you can join PCA and we unlock resources to help you find that Porsche. And in fact, I was in Virginia for my son's start of the hip hop dance season, and in the parking lot of the hotel was a very cool, I don't know if it was slate gray, but it was like a silverish gray 944 with Maryland historic plates. And it was just kind of cool to see. To me, I think is kind of an antique nowadays to see it just kind of in the wild, and it looked pretty good. And
so I have to say, hip hop has a season.
Yeah, the dance season started this weekend, and it goes until July.
What did he do in the off season?
They train. So they train. They work on. They develop these numbers, and they train and train and train and train. And this was the first competition, and they have, I would say, he has 7 routines. One's a solo, and they just perfect those routines over the next couple months until the final sort of championship.
Are you a dance dad? Like there was that show Dance Moms.
I am a dance dad.
Right?
I'm quite rare as a dance dad. It's mostly dance moms, but it's intense. I mean, you talk about parents and sports and football and basketball and cheering and all that kind of stuff. It's intense. It's intense. Honestly, I'm kind of intimidated. I just kind of is in the background when people roll in with full suitcases and all that crazy stuff. But anyways, let's get into it. About a month ago, Damon thought he would do a cool video. Yep. We always poke fun of him about not cleaning his car, and he decided he would clean it. And he got a package full of great supplies, and you did it over the weekend, and your car looks fantastic, but the internet had to interject and disagree with you on a few of the ways.
Now, Swissmax was the sponsor.
Yeah, they sponsored it.
Yeah, they're considered high end, I guess.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I'm a casual detailer, so I stick to stuff that I buy at the swap meet. McGuire's or
how many of us have shelves and shelves of various things that we thought was going to be the next best wax or next best polish or scratch remover? I've got so much stuff.
Anything you do is like that. When I did track, I had half-used brake pads, half-used tires because someone said, "Oh, this is even better." So you take your brake pads out, even though they're so good. Try different ones. Try different tires. But Swiss Wax was it's pretty high end.
Oh yeah,
it's not, that kit was not cheap.
Right.
No, it was not. The point of the video too with Swiss Wax sponsoring it wasn't necessarily to focus on a specific product, but just show people what they can easily do to make their car look better. Particularly coming from a place like me, who I don't wash my cars a ton. The Porsche maybe 2 or 3 times a year. I've never done a detail quite like that. I've done some hand polishing and waxing, but that's like a once a year sort of thing for me. Approaching this, it was kind of like, I have all these products, many of them that I haven't tried before, many of them which I had, in essence. I've used some old back in the day, some Zymol, they had wax that you put on your hand as well. So coming at it from an enthusiast who's not a detailer and making your car look better and clean, that's what I was aiming to do.
I'm just proud that you clean the car. I mean,
Yeah, same here.
That's the biggest thing. Kurt, let me go to you. When does cleaning your car cross over into detailing your car? What's that line?
I mean, realistically, that's a personal question, right? But I would say any time that you get into what's called like a decontamination is a little bit more than just a general cleaning, if you will, right? So every so often things do bond to your paint. The clay took care of that. There's some chemicals that do it. And then obviously if you want to get into the nitty gritty of really getting into all the cracks and crevices, that might be another determining factor of a detail versus just a cleaning.
I think if you spend more than 2 hours on your car, it turns into a detail.
There are people that wash very slowly and would take 2 hours just to wash it. But yeah, probably if you want to base it on time, yeah, hour and a half, 2 hours or more, you're detailing at that point.
Yeah.
Now you watched the video, and there's a lot of, what do they call, keyboard cowboys that chimed in. And I know you guys didn't direct those comments to make Damon feel bad per se. But
I do want to say thank you for those who commented. You know, it might have been harsh. My ego might have taken a little bit of a blow, and that's fine. But the important part, as I've said before, is that if there was something wrong that I did, I would love to have the record straight on that.
Yep.
You know, and comments is the perfect place to do that.
I don't know. I mean, one comment said you were pretty hot looking.
Oh, I need to go back and check
did,
these
we
out.
did.
It was followed by, but I wouldn't let him anywhere near the Porsche except in the right seat. But
Here's the thing. It's all sort of your perspective on what you're doing. For you, washing a car, keeping it clean, like you've done more than you normally do, and your car does look good. But some people that were triggered, I'm sure they're detailing experts, and they probably are correct about how much, you know, whatever you used on the pads and stuff like that, which I understand. But I have to like kind of step back and remind people, cars are not that fragile. Paint today is not that fragile. So even if you didn't use the right technique, just simply cleaning it, his car looks better. And you can't forget that. And as you said, Damon, we want to take the time today with Kurt's professional, you know, expertise and advices to, okay, let's say, how could you have done something better? How could you have made it spark a little bit more? Maybe, you know, use the liquids or the creams or whatever properly. That's what we need to learn. But
I'm sorry, I got to disagree with you. In defense of the commenters, we are a podcast. We are a club of enthusiasts.
True.
Not casual people that use the car from point A to point B. So they're looking from an enthusiast eye.
Yeah.
And just like anything else, that you know how you are with audio.
Yeah.
You're so particular where I could care less.
Yeah.
That's the difference. I'm like the casual car person who isn't going to listen to our podcast. The person who cares about audio is going to listen to audio podcasts, right? And expect that the people are going to be on that same level of enthusiasts. So,
that's a good point.
You know, I think people can argue and say you can do damage to your paint. Are you going to do damage where the average person is going to see it? No. Are you going to take it to Kurt so he can ceramic detail it and paint correct it and it all disappears? Maybe. I mean, that's
Yeah,
so
probably won't.
always a alternative that we can take.
But I agree with you, Manny. Like that, people do come listen to this or watch our videos because we have access to people like Kurt, and that they're going to learn the right thing. And perhaps what you did, if they were looking at the video thinking that they were learning from an expert, then yes, we did lead them sort of astray per se. So I agree with that. But that's why we're here. That's why Kurt.
Yeah.
How much did you cringe? Did the hair on your arm stand when you, what scenes? Get into it.
So I'll kick it off first off by saying, Damon, for somebody with your level of experience, was a killer video, right? I mean, most people could watch that and then go make their car look a lot better. Were there moments in it where things were wrong or not not dialed in quite enough? Absolutely. But I also want to say the internet is ruthless, right? Somebody said that earlier. We have people come on our channel and tell us all the things we're doing wrong. For instance, we posted a window tint video. Somebody told us that tint goes on the outside of the car. So I also want to put that caveat in there and say, hey, the internet is not always right. And in a lot of terms, I think it's just trolls too, right? So you've got a bit, but great video. There's just some things that we can dial in. And
sounds good for next time. Exactly.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, I think anybody watching that, could have learned a little bit and made their car look a lot better. So we can get you dialed in, make you do a professional one next.
Yes, exactly.
The positive side of it is it got over 10,000 views.
Yeah, I know. Perhaps I just need to be a little bit worse at what I do, and the views will go up.
That could be your stick. That could be your stick.
Do things 80% of the way, right?
Damon changes brakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Manny,
only 80%.
Oh no. Well, Manny collected all of the interesting comments, and maybe we'll just go through that. And this one's from at Gazoo's Garage. So many things went wrong and antiquated with what he is doing. So to Kurt, what did you see in the video that was antiquated?
I mean, the only thing that I would say is antiquated, and coming from a professional shop owner, was, wax, right? And I'm not going to say wax is dead because it's not. It's an enthusiast thing, and it does give a very different look and feel than ceramic coatings. The bit that I would say is antiquated is the hand application.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it in the past, right? I mean, I had
Yep.
an E36. That was like my baby when I first started out driving. I hand waxed that literally with the palms of my hand. And I bet your hands felt great for the next week.
Oh,
after that, right?
yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
But, I mean, that's the only thing that I would say was antiquated. Beyond that, I mean, technology's changed and processes have changed, but nothing stood out as like, whoa, why is he doing it that way?
Yeah. And that could be an the wax itself. I was instructed to use my hand.
Yep.
So that wax itself is a little bit old school in that sense.
And that's the thing, they do have products, right, that are designed for that. So again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a very old school thing.
Gotcha.
Next, we have at Blue Sky 9093. I guess I should read all this, but basically what they're saying is removing excess water with a battery-powered leaf blower. Is that something in the crevices and getting water out of the the nooks and crannies? They even said it was painful for them to watch that because you were using a silicone blade. Now I will have to say I have not used a silicone blade since maybe high school when it was a big thing, like in the 90s where you could see a lot of them at the stores. And
I'll put on that same level. Things that trigger me is people with those, I won't say what state they're from because it's a brand, but the duster.
Oh yeah,
the long duster.
Yeah.
It looks like it's more like an adult shop than in a something to do with detailing. I just cringe when I see people doing that on paint, and they're, I guess they're doing it because they're bored at the car show, and it's just
So the blade, before we get into it, I hadn't used a blade in 10, 15 years, probably 2008 or something on my old 944 S2. I figured I'd give it a try because SwissVax sent it to me, and I think I experienced exactly what people were talking about. If you don't have like a very, very clean, devoid of contaminant sort of paint, it's not going to feel great, and it's probably not doing good things to your paint as you drag it across because it's skipping a little bit, and I think you were saying beforehand that it might catch something. So I didn't use it to dry the whole car because of that.
Yeah, and I would avoid the two things we just discussed, right? I mean, actually a third one would be a chamois, if you will, right? Mm-hmm. Ditch the chamois, ditch the car dusters, and ditch the blades. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say there's anything wrong with them per se, but you're increasing the risk of damaging your clear coat in using things like that. Mm. We can very often see somebody that comes in with a very nice spec car that they enjoy going to car shows or meets and whatnot. They're like, hey, you corrected this 2 years ago. It's looking rough again. We open the trunk and bam, there it is. The duster, the chamois, the jelly blade, if you will. Yeah. So I do strongly encourage avoiding those things.
Yeah, because what you're doing, if you have a perfectly clean surface with, like you said, no contaminants, and you're using that, you're not catching and dragging, microscopic gravel, so to speak, right? But if more often than not, your surface is not that clean, and
especially
you are
on my cars,
and you're dragging it. You might be clearing the dust that you see, but from the
bad part is you don't know you hit the contaminant until you've hit it.
Yeah,
and that's if you can feel it. Other times you don't even feel it as you're dragging these little, almost microscopic pebbles, let's say, across your paint. What about blow drying though?
Yeah, so that's great. There's a ton of tools out there, right? There's guys that have 3D printed snub noses to go on those so you don't have the big 3-foot extension on the end of it. Fantastic tool. They make some that you can just plug in, leave in the garage. You can take a battery-powered one, even an air compressor with the right nozzle on the end of it. We do it. It'll speed up getting all those cracks and crevices dry. It's not a must, but for an enthusiast like your followers it likely are, It will definitely help. But at the same point in time, you're reducing, if you're doing it on the whole car, reducing the amount of toweling that you're doing, which again increases risk of putting swirls and scratches in. So great option.
Yeah.
It's not an absolute must.
I recently got like a handheld DeWalt blower. It's only maybe not even 2 feet. So it's not like a huge leaf blower. But the battery and brushless motor technology now is so good that this little blower probably blows as well as leaf blowers from 10 years ago. And it's a little handheld
Your
thing.
blow dryer over your hair.
It
For
could
his
be used
car.
It could be used for that. So, and one, they're strong, they're powerful, they're super compact, and they're not that expensive anymore. And you could cut your drying time down. I remember when you said chamois, I remember my dad had this leather chamois that we used. And when it dried over the week,
I love the resistance it would give you as you're.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like beef jerky.
It's like you had to dunk it in water to soften up. How in the
That
world?
was a synthetic, I think. Wasn't
No,
it?
no. Like
Oh,
I had,
leather?
my dad had like
Really?
a real leather one, and when it dried, it was like cardboard.
Yeah.
And when you went to go dry the car, it did suck up a lot of water at work, but we didn't think about like how it was.
Yeah.
The
So
dog,
be-
the dog would chew on it.
Yeah, I know.
Before I knew any better, so in 2006 to 07, I had a Corrado SLC, and it was black. And this is back when I probably had never detailed a car before. Like I was just learning, started college, doing whatever. I lived close to my uncle, who was a car person, and for some reason, like I don't think my uncle used chamois or whatever, but I had one, and I used it on my black Corrado.
Oh,
The whole car was a swirl mark.
yeah.
Until I went back and probably did a pretty not great detailing
Now,
job.
what do you tell your customers who get ceramic coating? Because you don't want them touching the paint really at all, right?
I wouldn't say at all, but obviously, again, part of what we need to do is mitigate the risk. Having a coating on your car helps with the dirt release, the ease of cleaning, so you're not scrubbing nearly as much. And then it's just educating people, right? So we're telling you, hey, we suggest this microfiber towel. We love it. It's called the Dreadnought. Great towel. You can get it in bath towel size, so you can do it in the
Called
entire car.
Dreadnought?
Yep, the Autofiber Dreadnought. Great towel, but you can get one or two of those, dry an entire car completely to the point where there's nothing. And if you have a leaf blower next time,
Yes.
blow out the cracks and crevices,
Yeah.
kind of have that near where you're blowing to catch whatever does come out. But
You know what my normal way of drying a car usually has been? It's really not drying it. It's more because I've always expected with the water I use, at home, there's always going to be water spots. So I don't dry it. Like I just take it just quick around the block, shake off some of the excess water, and then do quick detailer to get the watermarks off. And then it sort of is dry that way. That's
Yeah. That is a method. That is a method. I will agree with you.
so I
That
did it
is-
better for the video, but like I do want to say that's where I'm coming from with some of
I'm
this
just
stuff.
sensing like the slurry that is combined with
Yeah.
what you picked up on the road. Look, it works for you.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
I take it. I have a from Griot's Garage, this deionizer or whatever, a water softener type of thing.
The rinseless wash system probably.
Yeah.
right there.
So what I do is because I don't want water spots either, and I blow dry the car and stuff like that. But you have to be careful doing what you did because roads aren't necessarily clean. And
Short drive, slow.
and so
block,
whatever
but,
you
yeah.
picked up, like your paint was wet and it was kind of sticky, and now all that debris is on your car, and then you went back and then you took detailer
Yep.
and just kind of pushed it into the clear coat. So you have to.
Oh, I'm being totally transparent here so
No,
that
I
we
mean,
can,
That's why we're sharing the story because to the average person sounds perfectly sensible, but to the detailing geek, and I'm not one of them. I mean, I kind of know some detailing stuff, but I hear that and I go, "Ooh, I cringe," especially on a dark color car. Your silver car hides so much. If you want a car that hides a lot of stuff, buy a silver car
Or gray.
or a gray car.
gray,
That
yeah.
hides a lot.
Gold, silver, and
But
gray.
yeah, exactly. But if you do that on a black car, like you're just like you would see your mistakes instantly by doing that.
yeah.
Yeah, I like the blow dryer. That's, to me, you can even dry the brake disc so they don't rust.
So they don't rust,
You
yeah.
get- once you get into the groove of blowing everything dry. But yeah,
Do you sweat the details of people using leaf blowers versus like a dedicated vacuum that has a filter? Like I have a dedicated
like a shop vac or
Yeah.
Metrovac sort of
I have
stuff.
a Metrovac that has filters and everything, and it's like 4 horsepower. What I like about those is they actually have heat, and that's kind of nice. And then it makes it a quick work of driving the
that's
car.
what we have in the shop.
Okay.
It's a little bit more feasible for us to have that we have a dedicated wash bay area. It's a little bit more feasible for us to have that there than a bunch of battery operated blowers, but it doesn't matter.
What does the
It's
heat
gonna
do?
do the job.
Like when it's cold out,
Oh.
and it just dries the car faster. And also, I find it super handy, and you have to look away or don't listen. But they're so strong that I open up all the doors to the car, and I stand on one side, and I blow all the French fries out the other side.
No, that's a great way.
That's
of
a
doing
great
it.
to start, and it looks really clean because it just blows
Well,
everything out of the
before
car.
before they start typing the comments, why don't you say the French fries are in the minivan, not the Porsche?
Oh yeah, of course. Of
Oh
course.
yeah, I mean, true, but I'm not adverse to eating in
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
that's
Cayenne's an SUV, right?
that's a
It's
given
like
if they're
minivan.
watching
Yeah.
YouTube. But I'm
Yeah.
saying they're actually blowing French fries out of your car is not happening in the Porsche, though, right?
It happens in the Cayenne, like when the kids are in the back and stuff like that. Come on, I'm like, I use the car.
I think Manny's eye just like
I
twitched
use the
when you
car,
said
and guess what? I can clean it. It's fine. Like
You're here
it's
to
one
that.
thing to eat in your car and leave it and let it accumulate and grow mold. And
Never buy a used car from Goodwin.
but we use it. We use the car.
So,
Anyways.
Damon, when you dry a car off, after you've done your little lap around the block,
Yep.
do you open the doors and clean the door jams?
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
But I think a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that
I
always
clean
irks
that and I dry the under, and I'm probably not doing it, for me, like the door jams, who's going to see that? So I get a paper towel and just,
me. Very good. No,
So-
that makes all the difference.
Not
But
only the
if you
door
care about the
jam-
paint there, you might not want to do that. So
I have a separate sponge to do door jams because I do the door jams where you can see, and then I also do underneath.
You're being
the door.
cleaning.
To wash it.
Yeah.
To wash it. I have separate. As these sponges get dirty and dirtier, they like get demoted to different duties.
I was going to say, are they in the same bucket though?
Oh, that's a yes.
Yeah.
That pause there was like, how
See,
bad am I going to look?
But it's at the end. It's at the end. I do it at the end,
Well,
and
so-
my bucket also has a grit guard.
So that's the thing, though, right? I do encourage anybody that wants to try and take these precautions of the 2-bucket method and things of that nature and the separation of what's going to be used on what. They can't be together in the process either because they are getting
Yep.
things on them, right?
Yeah.
And whether it's getting on them or it's getting on the other things, it is, right? A grit guard's going to help, but it's only going to do so much, especially when something has been on wheels and tires and got that hot brake dust and whatever else it might be. So
We're gonna have Kurt ring the bell every time someone does something disapproving.
Right.
Because
Hold on, I gotta hit like 30
for,
of them.
for the
Catch
people
up,
who are
catch up.
listening on the radio, they can't see the disapproving
bell's gonna-
looks that Kurt's giving Vu.
All right. Let's see. We talked about leaf blowers. I do this all the time, and when I wash my car, is I put my hand without the ring, and feel the surface because you can totally feel, especially before clay bar or synthetic clay mats or pads, whatever, and after, and that glass smooth feel is what you're looking for. And here's how I do it. You can chastise me, but I rinse the car, and then I have my big foam cannon. And then right now I haven't used my bucket yet because it's the start of it all. I dunk my synthetic clay mitt, and then with all the foam soap that's on the car, that's what I'm wiping down with.
So I could give it a half a ring of the bell, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be quite enough lubricity for what you're trying to do with the clay. It's probably totally fine, but I would suggest using something out of a spray bottle and using that as the lube
As
for
a-
clay.
Yeah.
But you're probably not doing anything.
Because I
wrong,
just
right?
like I look at with Griot's they say use the what's it called, speed shine, right? Speed shine to glide it,
Yep.
and then I feel the soapy suds that I'm like, it's just as slippery.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's probably a little bit.
Manny's looking at me.
It's probably a little bit higher concentration of slip, if you will,
Yeah.
on something that's designed to be used
Yeah.
with clay.
And this is
However,
after you've washed.
Yeah, after I
Okay,
wash.
yeah,
After
yeah.
I wash.
Yeah,
After I wash it, and then I throw foam on it, and then I just
Okay.
because it's so thick. Like I feel like it's just much more efficient than me
Yeah.
trying to squirt.
So what's the
squirt.
correct? So let me step back. On your shop, you're doing time is of the essence for you guys. But how do you clean the paint before you start doing paint correction? Are you? I don't like to use that clay bar. I do like the clay mitt. The clay bar is just, I think, Damon talked about it in the video. You can't get it. You can't have it drop on the floor. You got to keep it clean. You know,
Keep
if it
holding
picks up,
it.
you keep
Yeah.
holding it, and it's not like super easy to maneuver around. So the clay mitt was a little bit nicer to do that.
Yeah, the clay mitts and the synthetic clays, they've really sped up this process. You get a bit more surface area out of them. You know, you don't have to do the whole kneading of the clay so often. You can just flip it or use another side, whatever it might be. When we're getting into it, right, we're doing a full wash. We have a multi-step wash, whether it's a foam or, you know, getting bugs off, whatever it might be. We're getting this vehicle totally prepped. We do an iron decontamination and a clay bar treatment. Most new cars using a synthetic clay is all we need. However, like Vu said, we're going to touch it, feel it, see if there's anything left behind. We might have to switch over to a more aggressive clay bar. I want to pull back on one thing here, right? So what you mentioned, Vu, was just using your hand. That's great. But if anybody listening really wants to feel what their paint feels like, go grab a Ziploc baggie. Small
I was
one,
just going
whatever.
to say.
The other one is your credit card. Credit card induces a bit more risk and might scratch, so let's not take this too seriously, right? That little Ziploc bag, you put your hand in it, slowly drag it across. You will feel everything that your hand did.
Did you guys not know this?
I didn't know that.
I've known this since 2006.
Makes
Even though I
makes a
fucking
huge
Put your
difference.
hand in a Ziploc, but my
Yeah.
hands are extra sensitive.
No, it doesn't matter. No, what he's saying is
Which
true.
hand?
Yeah, I know, right? Ew. So what he's saying is true. Like, clean Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
If there is anything on your paint, you will feel
It'll catch.
You would just,
You'll
I don't
feel
know
it.
what it is, just it's the way
Interesting.
it feels through there. You will notice it's amplified. Same thing with the credit card trick, your ID, whatever. If you just take it across, you know, the straight edge slowly, you feel
But are you doing
everything.
that when the surface is wet or when the surface is dry?
I would definitely encourage when it's dry because then you'll get the most out of it. You'll
Oh,
really notice it.
interesting.
But with the
that's
Ziploc
something.
baggie, you can tell when it's wet. I mean, it's
really?
amplified big time. You
I
will
wonder if
notice.
there's a difference between left and right hand. If you're right-handed, does it feel any different, more sensitive?
Oh boy.
You know,
For
so your,
Vu,
your left hand,
boy.
you're not using it as much.
Well, I'm right-handed, so I'm always gliding over. So with clay sort of like, I want to say like slices, right? The top of the paint, and when it does that, it removes the contaminant.
Mm-hmm.
But if you did it here and now you're carrying that contaminant over here, does it scratch?
Yeah, so I don't suggest claying unless you absolutely have to, and in most cases, you really only want to clay before you're polishing, because you are going to put micro
right?
scratches.
Yeah.
Some clear coats are going to be soft enough that clay itself isn't just going to do micro scratches. You're going to see what's called clay marring, which is a
Yeah.
very distinct kind of hazy look.
Yeah.
So clay at your own risk.
Okay.
No, hey, there are some chemicals that do a job of decontamination. You're never going to replace mechanical claying, as in using a clay bar or a clay mitt or a clay towel.
Yeah.
But there are some products out there that will help get it pretty good, but not perfect, as a maintenance in between using clay on it.
And you would say, like, the clay mitt is safer, easier than clay bar.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, again, it's going to be faster. It is safer. It is a less aggressive clay surface, if you will.
Okay.
That would be my suggested, especially for somebody in between, right? Whether they want to do it every quarter, every 6 months, or every year. That's what I would suggest.
Gotcha.
So when you say iron what would you call it?
Chemical decontamination, iron decon. Yep.
So I've seen the iron thing out. Is iron coming from brake pads on the road? Is that material?
There's a ton of things, right? So, yeah, obviously brake dust, if you notice, like there's certain spots on your car that will have it worse. Your wheels will definitely have it worse, but in those areas trailing. And then you'll notice it on like the vertical panel. So the things that do face up to the sky, that's typically industrial fallout, but also driving around. What is brake dust, right? It's just hot metal shavings that are floating around in the air. So if you're on the track, you're probably going to have a good bit of it if you're trailing somebody. If you're sitting in traffic on the highway, not as much, but it's still there because brakes are being
Is
used
there a
constantly.
special soap just for that, or is that
So yeah, there is
something that general soap takes out?
no. So as it's bonded, there is special chemicals that are needed. They are pretty stinky. A lot of them will actually change colors to show you that it's interacting with the iron to break it down. There's plenty of them on the market.
Iron
today.
decontamination, and I remember using it, and the backside of the car seemed to be the most like the one that I chose that turned pink, right? So I sprayed it on, and like the whole backside of the car was pink, and then you clean it all off. It actually
makes a huge
difference. Huge difference.
And if you're listening, if you're wondering what you can look at to see, if you have a white car, you can go out and look, and you'll kind of see like very tiny little rust particles is what it'll look like on your car. You can see it on other colors, but white obviously the most. So if you're looking to see if you have iron, that's a dead giveaway.
No. So since we're a Porsche focused channel, what do you consider the clear coats or maybe the single stage, and maybe decades of Porsches? Or is there, when it became more water based, like, do you have an opinion on how soft or how fragile the Porsche paints are?
They're not that fragile. Honestly, Porsche paints some of the best to correct, but also pretty darn good in terms of durability. It's one of the better ones out there.
That's
so
good to know.
yeah. Years past, it was pretty hard. Now I'd say it's kind of in the middle, but it's really good for us to work with.
Okay. And how about as far as like depth of clear coat and depth of color? Because you hear about some manufacturers are cheap on their paint and it's thin.
Yeah. So I would be lying if I could give any insight on that. It has been years at this point since I've spun a polisher and been out with a paint depth gauge. I will ask my guys and we'll make sure we put it in the comments.
Okay.
So anybody that wants an answer to that, let me follow up with you.
Cool. All right. So let's see. We talked about the 2-bucket, using 2 buckets and making sure your mitts are clean. One of the things that I notice when I've seen people wash cars is the method, right? The method of cleaning your car has everything to do, because if you drag that sponge or drop it and you don't clean it, now you've just created a sand sponge to go across your whole car.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that makes me cringe. Let's see.
So we haven't talked about the amount of polish used, and I feel like that was probably the most commented on part of the video.
Yes. Not only the amount of polish, but people say you're not a pro if you're not using, like, what do they call, like a direct drive polisher versus an orbital. And I'm like, come on, really? So answer the question about quantity of polish first.
So, and before you answer, the parts that showed me polishing the close-ups, I was starting from a dry pad.
Yeah, so you're priming.
So I'm putting more polish, but like, so when people see that and I use too much polish, you are looking at like a dry pad to a wet pad. But I can say, and I think people notice, I did put too much polish throughout the whole video. It wasn't just the beginning. But I wanted to say that I use a lot more in the beginning.
So I guess let me kind of flip it on you, just so I understand, right? Mm-hmm. Was there a reason you used the amount that you did, right? What made you do that? Was there anything in your head?
It was just the way the polisher feels and knowing that it's dry at first. So when I'm starting out, at least, I don't want it to have that sort of sandpaper feeling. I want it to be a little bit more, I don't know, fluid, slick.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm looking for. And then I guess midway through, after I've gotten my bearings, let's just say after I upgraded to the larger orbital as well, is I'm just looking for that. There's like a slight drag, when I'm using my technique, is there's like a slight drag. And I'd probably say that I'll do half a door panel, on a pad that's primed, drop on a prime pad already, door panel, half of it, and then probably 1 or 2 more drops or something, finish the rest.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So I don't want to say there was anything wrong, but the big thing here is always read your manufacturer's instructions.
Which I didn't do.
So that's the thing. A lot of them will say, hey, you want quarter size, pea size, this size, right? When it comes to the number of drops, it'll even tell you that. Mm-hmm. There is no right or wrong answer. Yes, at the end of the day, you did use entirely too much product. The more important thing here was, though, you weren't working through the product cycle anywhere near long enough. So you weren't getting the full correction and finishing out. Products these days have diminishing abrasives and other things that the more you work it, the better it works, the better it finishes, but also the better it cuts, right?
Yeah.
It depends on what product you're using. That is not a, end all be all thing. However, yes, you used way too much product.
Yeah.
Especially on a pad that size. If you were to prime it, yes, you can put it on, smear it down by hand, put it on the paint, spin it for 2-3 seconds, just kind of move it a little bit, and then 1 or 2 drops is all you need, right?
And how much area does that last for before you need to do anything?
Well, with that little baby polisher, not much area, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, Instructions will typically tell you. A lot of times you're working in a 2x2, sometimes a 3x3, right? Foot area. So if you're using a 5.5 or a 6.5 inch pad, you're thinking it's just a little bit more than your shoulders, and then same thing right from your head basically down to your belly, right? That's a good common, safety net for anybody to work with. But yeah, a little bit less product and more working time, right? So when I'm coaching somebody, if I'm teaching somebody from scratch, it's, hey, section passes left and right, up and down, left and right again, over every single bit. So you want to touch everything 3 times, and in the video it looked like maybe you were going 1, maybe twice over, but your hand speed, so your motion from left to right, or even up and down, was way too fast. Too fast. So you want to move that a bit slower, but this also depends on what pad you're using, what type of polish are you using. Vu, you mentioned the internet calling out the use of a random orbital. And what you're trying to do, right? Are you trying to really cut and correct, or are you really trying to finish out? There's a whole lot of difference between how you're
well, I can tell going into this video, and this is probably where the disconnect between, we're PCA, when we're showing you something, what level are we showing it? I went into this thinking, clean the car, give it a quick polish, and, use good products and try some new stuff, and it'll be great. And for me, it was. But I also did things wrong. I think habitually, I've used that much product.
Yeah.
Every time I've done a car. So I've been doing it wrong my whole life. But I'm happy with the product in that sense, but I think showing other people, it was not the right thing.
Well,
So how long do you do it before you know you're done? I know you said the 1, 2, 3 up and down.
Yeah.
Does the polish change? Does it start to dry up and change the look of it?
Yeah, so again, product specific and also pad specific and pressure specific, but a lot of the compounds or polishes out there will start to harden, get real dry, and even dust. That's when you know you've overworked the crap out of the product, right? Most of them, basically, once you've got yourself dialed in, once you've done those 3 section passes, it's done, right? It's ready to be finished working in terms of pad not spinning any longer. But that's the big tell. Is it starting to dry up? How hard is it to get off of the surface? In your case, when you looked, it looked like you were smearing it so much because it was still so wet. You could tell it hadn't been worked in enough, right?
Yeah.
The opposite, right? If it's like dried up, concrete that you're trying to get off, hey, I overworked the crap out of that product.
I guess reading because whenever I try something new, I read it simply because some waxes will say let it dry, and other ones or polish will say do not let it dry. Wipe it off before it dries. So I tend to see if it's starting to dry, then I immediately wipe it off because I've done where I've let it dry, and oh my God, trying to get it off.
So having been on the opposite side of this, not just as a professional detail side, but also on the manufacturing side, even professional detailers do not read those labels. The number of times that they will call in and ask for help on something, it's like, did you read the instructions?
Yeah.
There's a reason they're there, and there are some off-label uses of things, but read the directions, please.
Yeah.
Now, Damon had the luxury of being able to do that inside. I know probably the biggest thing when you're waxing, polishing, and most people, they're doing it on their driveway outside. And the sun is a factor too, like how much you use and how quickly it, I think, flashes. And if you put too much, it gets too hard, it becomes concrete. I've seen other people take speed wax or some other quick detailer, and after they applied the polish, they sprayed a little bit and it helped remove the excess. Is that something you recommend, or is that something you do when...
It's not something that we do. There are some product lines that's the way it's done.
Okay.
And some of it's an efficiency, some of it's a safety thing to give some lube so you're not scratching as you are removing it. Speaking of being outside, another very important part, right? You do not want to do this on a very hot, sunny day in anything, right? You watch mobile detailers, a lot of times they'll have pop-up tents or canopies, whatever it might be, to try and keep these cars directly out of the sun. It's not always possible for a DIYer, right?
Yeah.
So try and do it at, when the sun's not at its peak, when it's, sun up, sun down, some of those times. Just be very reluctant to do things in a direct overhead hot day.
You talked about pads, and people may not realize the solution that you're putting on the pad isn't the only thing that's affecting the finish. It's the texture of the pad itself. And that's why a lot of systems, they're like saying if you're doing an aggressive cleaning, you use this solution with this type of pad. Like it's like a match set. So when you put too much fluid on, you don't get the abrasiveness of the pad and therefore not working the product.
I think you can see, you know, in my side-by-side, like it was cleaner, but there were still a lot of scratches on the side that I worked on.
Because it didn't have the abrasiveness to clear out the scratches.
I think the comment was you were polishing the polish. I thought to myself, I think I've been guilty of that.
Yeah. We all have been.
Because if a little bit's good, lots got to be better. Right?
The one thing I will applaud you on is the fact that you did not have any fling that I noticed in the video when I was watching it, right? So that's something
I've done that
you
too.
will
I
see
was about
guys
to say, I'm
be
guilty.
all over them,
I'm guilty.
all over the car. So props on that one. I didn't notice you flinging.
So there was a fling the very first. I had forgotten because it's been a few years since I've used an orbital. What did I do? I put the fluid onto the pad, and this is the very first pass, like on the hood that I didn't film. I don't think, or maybe I did. But anyway, so did the polishing. And then I think I lifted it off, then turned the polisher off.
Yeah, that'll get you.
And so that very first one, I did get a little bit of fling.
So one thing I want to stop on here real fast, big educational point for people. When you switch to the bigger polisher and bigger pad, I want to call out because there's a spot where, as you're holding it, I noticed you have a large backing plate on, but a smaller pad, right? So if you look, as you're watching that video, there's like a quarter of an inch, maybe a half of an inch all the way around. It's a big risk that can hit a lot of things as you're polishing.
Yeah.
If you lean it, right, and that will make you go to a body shop if that hits, right?
Yeah.
So know that.
And
right?
I was careful about not hitting it. So again, full disclosure, I didn't have the right tools. And when I went and bought the right tool, I didn't have the right pads. So don't do what I did. Go buy the right pads.
So we want to get into the speed round with some questions. Sure. All right, we've got some questions that Manny put together for us, sort of a speed round for you here, Kurt. So you answered this, but let's go say it again. So clay bar, yes or no?
Yes, clay mitt preferred.
All right. Attacking a surface scratch. What do you do first?
Well, it's a tough one, right? So paint depth gauge, try and meter how much paint is around to see what we can do, right? Sometimes sanding is the best bet. You're going to remove less clear coat or less paint when sanding than simply just going in, going hard and trying to compound something. So we have to assess the situation.
And when you say sand, that's wet sanding.
Correct. Yep. Wet sanding. Yep.
Okay. Damon?
And I would say to people, especially your Porsche, if you've never done wet sanding and not comfortable, either do it on a junkie car that you have, or just take it to a pro.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, wet sanding is getting pretty serious.
There's no
if you
going
know what
back.
you're doing, to the pro, it's not a big deal. But someone for the first time, I'd hate for you to do the rookie mistakes we all do. Too much pressure, not enough water. That can.
From an educational perspective here, if you take your fingernail across that scratch, if your fingernail catches it all, I would say don't worry about it, right? Don't chase that scratch. Either take it somewhere to have it touched up, take it to a professional. I would not encourage you to try and take care of it yourself. The flip side to this is, we've talked about it a few times, is current paints. Paint systems are not as thick, not as hard as they have been in the past. So no, the more you chase a scratch, the more you're wearing down the amount of clear coat. My job as a professional is to make sure that you have the best looking yet most durable paint system I can possibly give you. If you give me the okay to go chase the crap out of a scratch, we might really compromise the clear coat in that space, right? I don't necessarily want to do that, but I do have some customers that are like, I want it as perfect can be. They understand the risk. So know that the more you polish, the more you're actually hurting your clear coat over time.
Because you're trying to even the paint. It's like a little canyon.
Correct.
So you're trying to fill that canyon, and that means taking paint away.
Correct.
Microscopic, but it's still,
Yeah, we're taking paint away from the surrounding area so that we can basically wear down that canyon so that at that point the light reflects and refracts differently and you don't notice the scratch as much. So yes.
And if your fingernail catches, that's a really good sign that it's probably too deep for somebody like me to take care of.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And when does it, we've seen cars that have these and people that have misused their polisher, when does it become a burn on the paint?
Ooh, when you get through that clear coat down to the base coat, it's going to look totally different. And that's
So that means you've worn away all the clear coat, and that's why it's a change of
correct. Or you just got it entirely too hot and essentially melted that section, which is possible but unlikely. But yeah, the risk more with that is with the rotary that some of these guys mentioned. That's not to say a dual action or an orbital doesn't have risk as well.
It can do it, but it would take a lot more pressure and heat and time.
Yeah.
Whereas a direct drive, you can do that pretty quickly.
I can walk up to a Porsche and look in certain spots and tell you people who've done that because it's right on the edges, like at
the thinnest area.
Yeah, like 944s have that
The roof rail.
Yeah, the roof rail, exactly. Right, everyone I've ever seen, it's like a white, like Kurt said, primer. I'm like, yep.
There's a Baltic Blue 944S2 track prepped that has one of those marks on it, and you're welcome.
That was installed by Damon.
Yes, use it. Yeah,
I thought he was going something
by
right with
me.
this.
Yeah.
He's just admitting it all. Hopefully, he's getting
That was back in 2006, and I was using my uncle's direct drive.
If we were sitting a little higher, we looked like Congress. And
Yeah.
we'd be, testifying.
Yeah, and it'd be a little lower, right?
All right, we talked about how you were using a small polisher and the pad issue and stuff like that. What's the purpose of a smaller polisher?
Yeah, it's some of the more finesse areas, right? Door handles, behind door handles, some mirrors. And even sometimes you'll have like a deeper recess on a body line that big polisher, unless you're very skilled or using a rotary, you're not going to be able to get into. So some of the more tight technical areas is what you'll use those on. Yeah, you could use it if you have a week to polish your car.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. It was going good, but yeah, it at some point I realized that this is not going to work.
Yeah.
So speaking of scratches, do you attack them before or after you polish the paint?
Yeah, so in my shop, that's one of the processes, right? We'll inspect the car first, then we'll clean it, we'll re-inspect it because we can see a lot more once it's clean. Then we come up with a game plan. But typically, it's after that full wash, decontamination, then we'll get into the compounding of scratches and then the refining through polishing. All depends on what they're in for.
You guys ever do actually filling in?
Touch-up work?
Yeah, touch-up work, yeah.
Yep, we have. It's not something I love to do because, it's one of those things, it's never perfect. It's never like, hey, I just went and had it repainted. But for most people, good is good enough. And, we also stop the rusting on some of these cars. So that's really important too.
Is that like, you guys do PPF?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when you do PPF, is that almost a requirement because the PPF should amplify a scratch, show it?
So it all depends. Yeah. And, this is why we encourage you to get paint protection film very quickly, right? The sooner the better. The less defects, the better. However, what we go through and explain is some of these rock chips or small little issues, if we put touch-up over it, it'll actually look worse, even with the touch-up after it. So sometimes like, hey, this one, we're not going to worry about. That one, yes, we will fill in with touch-up. And sometimes it's, hey, go to the body shop, come back once it's cured, and we'll do PPF then, right? It all depends, but, that's a different mindset too, right? Hey, I'm stopping it from getting worse than it is today. You love your car as it is. Let's keep it this way and not let it get worse. And then some people are like, no, I want it as perfect can be, which that's a tough one.
An area a lot of people forget. They focus on wheels, they focus on paint, but they don't focus on glass. What can you do with glass that has scratches from wipers or pitted glass? What can we do there? Same as paint?
Not quite. I tell a lot of people, glass at this point is not like it used to be. You used to be able to really polish some of those defects out, whether it was watermarks or light scratches from wipers or whatever. Today, it's pretty tough.
Really?
It doesn't finish out nearly as good. It seems like glass quality is not nearly as good as it used to be. With that being said, feel free to try it, right? I mean, we do see results sometimes, but it's something that we try to set the expectation with our customers and say, hey, look, it's a 50-50, right? I mean, we can give it a shot, let you know how it's working, or, is good enough? Or in some cases, hey, just go replace the windshield if it's that bad, right? So there are polishes, there are pads that are designed for glass. They do work, but it's not like it was 20 years ago when you could really correct glass.
Is it because glass today is harder, or is it because
it just seems like the quality is not as good across the board, right? The ingredients aren't quite as good. The clarity is whether it's in just that top layer or what, but it's not as easy to correct anymore.
Now there's films for glass now. Something you recommend?
Yes. Yep. Okay. It's not something that I would suggest on a daily driver. just because, wipers abrade the film and they will mess it up over time. So this is something that, you're more weekend or your Sunday driver or your track car or something that has a very expensive windshield to replace. Yes. Most of the windshield protection films are going to last about a year on a daily driver. Sometimes much longer. It all depends on your care and feeding. If you're like my wife and use your wipers when it's even thinking about raining, not going to last that long, right?
Yeah.
If you're like me and you put a coating on top of it, never use your wipers and just try and drive as fast as you can to get the water to blow off,
Right.
it'll last. Windshield protection film is absolutely fantastic. Ceramic Pros is out now. We're loving it. We did an install this morning before I left. I have another one when I get back. But it's not for everyone. Make sure you do your due diligence and see, is it for you?
Yeah, with front glass being the change procedures for modern cars with all the electronics tied to the
sensors,
the sensors, and of course, we talk about when people change them and scratch the channels and rust.
I think we had somebody here, windshield replacement, and keep in mind with the new cars, I think a new Cayenne, depending on your suite of options, I think they're 20 or 30 different kinds of windshields.
Yep.
Yeah,
and it's all very specific to the options on your car.
Yeah, it's not like it used to be. So we'll quote somebody just so you know the going rate for windshield protection film, depending on where you are in the country, is probably going to be between $500 and $850. Some windshields much larger, much more complex, could be more.
Yeah.
Right? It all depends. But no, your windshield replacement in some of these instances is $2,000, $3,000, $6,000. Not very common, but it does happen, right?
yeah.
My truck here, you really want some engagement and comments? My Cybertruck, that windshield replacement is $4,000 today.
Oof. Oh my gosh.
Right?
Wow.
And that's if you can even get it.
Yeah.
I know there are some very rare cars out there. I have a customer with a McLaren. I think it was an $18,000 replacement. For people like that, it is definitely worth film and saying, hey, every year I'm okay replacing this to the tune of $500 because
It's an $18,000 windshield. Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah, makes sense.
Bingo.
Okay.
Does any other car share the wiper with the? Don't you have a huge wiper?
Yes, it is I believe the world's largest mass-produced.
Really?
Windshield
So
wiper.
Windshield
closer to
wiper.
that probably.
Yeah, and it's really neat the way it is. It's almost like two of them combined on one arm.
Oh my
So,
Wow.
Interesting.
yeah, and it's actually awful. It's the only complaint I have on that
I was
truck.
about to say, it doesn't work.
The wiper works, but it's the windshield washer fluid and cleaning the windshield is awful. Absolutely god awful. I saw they just put out a bulletin that they have a fix for it, so we'll see.
Oh, all right, here you go. Next one, best way to clean vinyl. Is it okay just soap and water, or is there
When we say vinyl, are we talking vinyl stickers and things of that nature?
No,
no,
vinyl
Or the
interior.
tops? Okay,
Yeah.
vinyl interior.
Leatherette, right?
Yeah. So, as a detailer, my go-to is least aggressive method first, right? Things like rinseless washes are fantastic for interiors. If you have a rinseless wash, you've done your car afterwards, just take a couple fresh microfibers, put them in there, dampen it, wipe it down. If your interior's never getting that dirty, that will always do exactly what you need it to every single time. There are some, dedicated leatherette cleaners. A lot of leather cleaners really aren't for leather anymore, right?
Yeah.
There isn't much real leather in cars these days, but you can get into some regular interior clean and shines, if you will, that will work as well. But I start least aggressive, so we'll go with a rinseless and work our way up to a quote interior cleaner that might have a dressing in it. And if we need to, we'll get into an all-purpose cleaner or things of that nature. And then you have to know what you're using. You might have to back it back down to get rid of any solvents or alkaline or acidicness that's left behind.
Let's talk about the leather side, leather and Alcantara and Racetex. What are we doing there?
So same thing. Alcantara is a whole different animal, right? There are some big no-nos. I don't want to go giving any guidance on here just because people will come back and yell at you if they do something and it does it wrong. Same thing. The only thing that I'll really use on Alcantara is going to be a damp microfiber that has that rinseless product on it.
Really?
Beyond that, I don't typically like to do much with it because you can really change the look of it, the finish of it, and really nap it down, mat it down. And that's not what we want to do, right? So
Is it possible for well-worn Alcantara Racetex to be brought back?
if there is, it's not something I'm privy to just because it's not something that we really do. It's not in our wheelhouse. I will reach out to some friends, and again, I'll put
That's
in the
what I
comments.
said. I've never seen.
Yeah.
I've seen them go bad, but not
Yeah, I don't really think there's anything.
I've heard some like ways to do it, but I'm not going to mention them here. So
You mean well worn when it's like kind of shiny?
Yeah.
I'd
I've
like
never
to know
seen
that.
people be
Yeah,
able to
yeah.
bring it back. And that's why I'm always like, just give me a leather wheel. Just a normal leather wheel.
Yep.
and I will say, and some people are like, yeah, of course you clean your steering wheel every year, but if you haven't cleaned your steering wheel or cleaned your leather interior, do it because man, it's way better than you thought it was.
Yeah, if you really want to be mind blown, put a tape line down the middle of your seat, the back of it, and your butt cushion. Right.
Yeah.
Clean half of it, and you will be amazed. Shiny leather is not clean leather. Remember that.
Yeah.
You'll be amazed at how dirty your seats are when you have leather seats. So do that, and you'll be impressed.
Well, I always treat I don't prefer leather in my car because I know it's like something that can wear out. I like cloth interiors, but not many nicer cars have cloth interiors anymore. But I do feel like I treat the leather in my car as like your skin. If it's shiny or dry or hard, like that's not a good thing. Like you have to feed it. You have to try to keep it supple because otherwise it starts cracking.
Yep. Yeah, and another big thing that people miss is keeping those seats clean, right? Just vacuuming them out. If you look, you spread the cracks out a little bit. There's so much in there, and all that's going to do is get on your jeans, get on your pants, whatever, and start to wear and abrade on the finish. So keep that stuff clean. That'll be one of the best things you can do.
Now, what about ceramic coating interior parts and what gets treated?
Yep. So at this point in time, there are coatings for every square inch of your vehicle, whether it's the interior or the exterior. We definitely can. There are products for, your floor mats and carpets, your headliner, and then everything else, right? Your dash, the leather, whether it's real leather or leatherette, does not matter. There's products for it. Same thing with the plastics. And even going the next level up, there's so many screens in cars now. People are even putting screen protectors or paint protection film on those, whether it's clear gloss or clear matte. And then even like we just had a customer with a Macan, and around the shifter stalk, there's a whole lot of that black plastic. Piano black gets real scratched up real fast. We can put PPF over that today to protect it too. So depends on how anal you are, how much you want to love your car, and how long you plan on keeping it.
Yeah, and you talked about it earlier when your either your paint or your interior is ceramic coated. The ease of maintenance is tremendously improved.
Which is my question. So my wife just got a new car, and I told her to get white so she could take it through the car wash. Because I know white's the one that, versus like a dark color. But she likes some of the dark colors. I said, well, you're never taking that for a car wash because it's going to show. Taking for a car wash is probably one of the worst things for ceramic coating, right?
Worst thing for a car, period.
So
remember, I've been married for 30-some years. So giving in and trying not to fight the good fight with my wife has been very successful.
Marriage is a give and take, right?
Right. So the option of, no, honey, you can't go for the car wash isn't really on the table, especially since she has a monthly subscription or something like that.
Yeah. If it's touchless, there's really no harm, right? I mean, sometimes those chemicals are very aggressive, but depending on which ceramic coating you put on, it should hold up.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So it does. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, that's one of those things we tell our customers, hey, I get it. It's cold, Maryland. We get some rough winters and whatnot. Go through a touchless car wash if you have to. It's better than not washing it.
Yeah.
But there's, much like the performance world, there's no replacement for displacement. There's no replacement for agitation by hand, not by the Swirl-O-Matics and the other brushes and everything that are hitting if you go through
if it's a touch car wash, then that's not.
I would definitely avoid it. I would avoid those like the plague. But
or just don't get ceramic coating and expect it to be around.
Correct. I mean, obviously, I would suggest not using a touch car wash, period, but touchless is totally fine, right? I'm not going to sit here and scoff at that by any means. I'd rather you see you have a clean car done that way than just driving around.
No, I just think of the people, ceramic coating is not cheap. That's an investment to protect your car. And I tell people, I go, part of it is your maintenance of it. It's not simply walk away and it's magic. So people who take it for car washes, that's wearing it down, I think, right?
So my wife has a black vehicle. I ceramic coated it, and I joined one of those monthly subscriptions intentionally because I wanted to test our products. And we got come once a day, every day for, it was like $20 a month. I went at a minimum once every other day for about a year and a half, and I saw zero negative effects.
Wow.
Her car was always clean. I can't say the same anymore since we canceled that subscription, but yeah. So I would say, I mean, it does depend on your coating. So again, take this, as guidance, not as gospel. a touchless car wash should be fine for most ceramic coatings.
I was going to say $20 a month every other day. You really got your money's worth.
Yeah.
They weren't expecting that, were they?
But I would also be careful with the touchless one too, because
Yeah.
my sister's, I think we've talked about it before, she had a black E46 sedan, and she went on a hot day, and it's a touchless, so nothing beating on her car, but she went like full whatever option extra, and she went through it, and when she came out, you literally could see the squirt pattern of all the chemicals that they used, and it just etched into her paint. And there was
No, there's nothing.
Is it true that
nothing
touchless, we might not be able to answer this one here, but is it true that touchless car washes use stronger chemicals because of the fact that nothing is touching it?
Oh,
Yeah, so they're using a mix of a more aggressive chemical, but also that pressure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they're getting your car clean. And yes, that's again why I'm saying, hey, asterisk here, right?
yeah.
Your coating may have some adverse effects. The coatings that I use, I know do not, because we've tested them and they're very high chemical resistance. But yes, that is very true.
But if you're driving around in a Cayenne and it's a snowy day or a snow day and there's brine on it, definitely touchless wash.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to get that stuff off is
Get it
better
off
than
the car.
leaving it on.
Yeah.
All right, well, I want to make sure for you folks that haven't signed up for our newsletters, head over to PCA.org. We have PCA's performance news, e-brake news, and Mart Fresh all free for you to enjoy that. Getting into Porsche news, we just have results from the WEC that maybe Manny will touch upon.
I guess you didn't see them, did you?
No, I did not.
Yeah, not happy times.
Oh, boy.
So it's very important this year that Porsche wins Le Mans. And they've done great. If IMSA in North America won the championships, we won Daytona 24 hours overall, now 2 years in a row. But Le Mans eludes us, and Le Mans is run under the WEC, the World Endurance Championship. So the first race happened in Qatar, and going in, we were very excited. Got some hints that things may not go well with qualifying and whatnot, but, it's a 6-hour race, I think, and things happen, but yeah, it did not end well. The highest placing 963 was 10th place. Ooh. Even the GT3Rs did not finish. They finished added points. So,
Ouch.
let's chalk this one up as a learning experience, and hopefully they recover. But Ferrari, congratulations to them, did win, and I think they're going to be the foil for Le Mans. So Porsche's really got to step it up in WEC and make the cars more reliable and more competitive. Some things are just bad luck, which happened during this race too. But yeah, they got to definitely step it up. Even the customer cars didn't do well. So,
All right. Well, before Damon shares some video updates, I will say that Treffin Homestead, April 30th and May 4th in Hot Spring, Virginia, is sold out. Porsche Parade Oklahoma City registration is open, so we look forward to seeing you there July 6th through 12th. Treffin at Sea, we are well over 900 individuals for the 70th anniversary cruise. That will be August 30th through September 6th. Over to you with videos.
Yeah, by now, we'll have it should be about 1 day away before the Works Union Amelia Island video is up. So look out for that tomorrow, if this airs when I think it does. And also, we'll probably have a Nathan Mers 928 video. So he bought one a few years back. When I was out there for some other videos in 2024, we did a more casual video with the 928. It's still very good. It has a drive component and a walk-around component. And it's actually really cool. I learned a few things about 928 in filming that, about the really cool, the door pockets are kind of insane in the 928. The toolkit, how the rear windshield wiper works, and as well, the drive. So that'll be a really good video. And I also think I've uploaded, so we can watch the draft, another Tech Tactics East video. So you'll probably have one of those out by the time you hear this as well.
Yeah, so combined with Tech Tactics East, Amelia, we're also heading out to Phoenix here soon, and maybe we can ask her what. So Project 964 is going to be available for a PCA member to purchase on Bring a Trailer by the time this drops within a couple of weeks. And you were one of the very first. We did I wouldn't say a detail. We watched it and cleaned it up when it first landed here at PCA's headquarters, but it headed over to you for the ceramic coating. Any thoughts on the car and what?
I joked on your Facebook saying, hey, I want to get it. So if it's going to be for PCA only members, I might have to hurry up and go find something on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, you got to join.
Quick,
Yeah,
right? For
exactly.
sure. No, I mean, first off, love that car, right? Genuinely, it's actually got some sentimental value to me as well. For a few reasons that you guys in this room know, but great car for somebody. It turned out fantastic. Justin did a light two-step. It was more of a paint preservation correction and detail than anything, but it's got Ceramic Pro Ion on it, so nice and protected.
And it's a single stage. I think that was one of the earlier ceramics on a single, and it looks great.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people don't realize, or they're not sure about. Modern cars, they hear about ceramic coating, but for a single stage car, it was a solution, and the car just pops now. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, looks awesome, and genuinely, I'm gonna have to go find a junker so I can get it.
All right, let's see here. If your car's still tucked away and you want to race against PCA members, we have PCASimRacing.com. Just hop on there. They can show you all the ins and outs and what you need to go competitively race, or just do some social driving. They have PCA Sim Racing sort of driver's ed, where you're just getting used to the system and graduate and hopefully race down the road. PCA Insider Swag. If you're looking for bottles, you're looking for mugs, or if you want to just get decals to support the Insider, just head over and send your address to PCA's podcast at PCA.org. Again, address information to podcast at PCA.org. Kurt, I did have one more question for you before we close it out. I'm starting to hear, we talk about ceramic all the time now, but I'm hearing triphene, or I'm hearing all these other chemical things, and I see it on Facebook where the guy wipes it and it looks like glass and it's so much easier.
Is this different than the craze with graphite? Wasn't that like
graphene?
Thank you.
Yeah. So is ceramic here to stay? Are there other chemicals that's coming out that we're going to see that's even easier?
Yeah. So today, ceramic is still king, right?
Okay.
Graphene, it's been exposed. There's trace amounts of it at best. In theory, it could be awesome, but the cost seems like it would be absurd for you to really get a high content graphene coating.
Okay.
You see some of these other fiends and leans and this and that, right?
Yeah.
Right now, it's all snake oil and just marketing, right? It's the buzzword bingo, if you will. Stick with your preferred brands and try and stay away from the new up and coming things, and you'll be in good hands.
And here's what the crazy part on all these little videos that I see is: they take a dirty car and just spritz and wipe, and it's magically gloss. What happened to all the contaminants? Like, there was no surface prep.
Yeah.
That can't be true, right?
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's only so much you can do with lubricity and protection at once, and there's always a trade-off. A lot of that's just going to be, snake oil, smoke and mirrors marketing tactics, if you will.
Let's say it is something that locks in. If they didn't if they didn't prep the surface, does that mean you've just added and locked in the dirt and it's always going to be?
Yeah, I mean, they're only going to get so much off.
Yeah.
And also, in doing so, how much damage are you doing to the substrate, right? The paint in advance. So a lot of risk factors across the board there. What damage are you doing? And again, what's the trade-off? How long do these products last? But also, what damage did they do in advance?
So back to your suggestion, go with a reputable company that's been around. You do your research and don't believe everything that you necessarily see on Facebook or what other media that you're consuming this information.
And I think the overall lesson I've learned here is, and I could have avoided a lot of headache, is read the directions.
I thought you were going to say turn the comments off.
Yeah, turn the comments off too. No, read the directions. I feel like if I had read the directions for every single thing that I used, I probably would have been a lot better off. So,
Damon, thanks for doing this. Thanks for being open to talking about it. And hopefully you've learned a bit by listening to this podcast. And Kurt, we always learn when you're around. So thank you for stopping by, folks.
Can I just say one thing, a personal thing?
Yep.
Thank you to Detlef von Platten, who stepped down from the executive board recently. Detlef was president of Porsche Car North America when I was president. And he did a whole lot for us here at PCA. And, of course, he's responsible for bringing the Porsche Experience Centers Atlanta and California. Things change, things happen. He served this time on the board for AG, and so progress happens. But Detlef, I think, in all our hearts at PCA, he's very close to us, and I hope to see him at an event sometime soon.
Absolutely. He's always been so good to us, and we wish him the very best in his next endeavor. And hopefully it's just relaxing and enjoying the fruits of his labor. All right, folks. Well, thank you for listening. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Consider sharing our show with fellow Porsche enthusiasts. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll catch you down the road.